It'll be very cool to have such an old Scotty trailer. Boy, is it a lot more work than buying a new one.
We are Mo, Cormac, and Evie. Join us on our journey to build the Plantiful Food Trailer. This episode, we had some unexpected challenges before we could put our window in, but it was all worth it in the end. We hope you enjoy our trailer build video part 2.
Slightly pushed up right there.
Pushed out.
Before we could put the window in, we had to cut out some of the wood that looked to be a bit rotted, so we used a saw to just barely cut through the plywood and try to miss the aluminum on the outside of the trailer. I tried setting the depth of the saw to just barely cut through the plywood, and then I also used a Dremel to just clean up the edges a little bit.
Oh my god. Well, you did it.
How's that?
Pretty good.
Satisfied?
Yeah.
Alright, so what we could do is we could just cut this thing like that so this thing pops off. That's the back of it.
There you go. Oh man.
And that is why we were cutting it out.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
The bottom section of the plywood wasn't budging once we cut the sides out, so before I broke things by prying too hard, I figured I'd check the underside to see what was going on down there. Also, there's some nails that come in from the bottom.
Oh, really? So what are you gonna try and do?
Pull the nails off. The nails on the bottom of the trim were really stuck in there, so I was trying everything I could to get them out. It was a bit too awkward for a hammer, but the pliers seemed to do the trick pretty well, even though it took quite a bit more effort. Oh my god.
You're getting it. Good job. Oh, wow. Nice work.
That's a big nail.
Big nail.
Those holding her in pretty good.
Wow. That worked.
It works nicely.
Good job.
They nail the wheel well to the underside of the plywood, and then with these like flaps, and then they end up putting this trim piece on over that. So to get to those things, you have to take the trim piece off.
Oh, man.
Come on, man. Give me a break. Maybe what I'll do is I have a good idea. I'm gonna just hammer at it from the top side. The silicone that they put on it.
Oh my god, for real? That's what it was?
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh, damn it. There is one more. Yeah.
You got this. Doing great. You get it? Oh my god. He did it. Alright. So now we got to the wheel well. Huh? This is the wheel well from the inside. with nails wrapped around the wood. So that does a lot of good. Oh wow, that works.
To our surprise, the trim piece was hiding about 20 staples that were really holding it all together. All these damn things all over the place. Toward the end, the wood was so rotted that I could easily bend the tin straps free by hand.
Hour and 28 minutes up later.
That's what it says.
Oh my god. There it is.
Oh.
There it is. Thank God. Oh. Woo!
Oh my god.
Today we've got our old piece from the trailer. This was the wheel well, so we're just gonna trace on the shape to the bottom of this, and then cut the rest to size. So we ended up tracing the wheel well here with a marker. But as you kind of saw in the video, the end of it was a little broken apart as the wood was disintegrating there. So we ended up just using a ruler to kind of estimate the rest of the line. And then Cormac took over and encouraged me to take a shot at the power tools.
Alright, you do the rest.
No.
Why?
No.
It's really not too bad. Get out of the red TV.
Unfortunately, as we brought the piece of wood in, we realized it was just a smidge too wide. We gotta trim this. So we had to remeasure and figure out what size we needed to cut it again.
It's 29.5. Bringing in the piece, it was obvious that this just wasn't going to fit as one. I don't think that's gonna work.
No?
I think it's gonna work.
Oh boy. Ah! Hi! Yeah, hi! Who's that? Who's that? Attempt number 3, and we were really excited to finally get the piece in, but unfortunately we found out again that it wasn't quite to the right size that we needed, and so instead of cutting the actual piece of plywood, we decided to just cut the very top of the plywood that was actually still in the trailer, because it wasn't actually straight to begin with. So
I think let's just trim that. Let's see. It's good.
Right.
Just a little bit.
Well, teeny. Why is this so difficult? I thought this was gonna be an easy thing. What did I just say?
What is that?
Come on, baby. Fit.
I think we're gonna just put it in like that.
Okay, so how are we securing this? Are you doing that side first?
Maybe I should lift and you should hammer?
None of these jobs are fit for me.
Fine, let's try to lift it and then in the spot and then you can try and hold it there.
Oh, wait. Oh, God. Alright, how about... Oh, Cormac, this isn't working. I need more of a wide stance. Oh, God. That's not working at all.
What the heck? We got chipped!
That's a piece of crap.
Ow!
I see you.
Yeah.
You're not joking?
No!
Oh my God!
I tried hitting harder too.
Are you okay?
Yeah. So, what do we do? Do we go to Lowe's and get those strapping things and do those across? You got a green thing in your teeth.
Where?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, this needs to be easier.
Why is everything so difficult? As the connector plates just weren't working, we decided to go to Lowe's that day, but unfortunately there was a huge line, so we didn't end up getting the metal brackets. So this is just a different day after we had already bought the brackets. After figuring out where we wanted the brackets to go, we first drilled the brackets into the new plywood before putting it in place and screwing it into the trailer. As we were putting in the bottom piece, we discovered that it was actually just a little bit too long, so we had to trim it down one last time before we could put it in place. The final step for this was just to then recut that section of the window out. On day 4, we were really excited to put the window in, but unfortunately, we ran into a few more steps we needed to complete before we were able to put it in.
One question is, are we gonna put something here before we put the window? A piece of aluminum?
We realized we needed a piece of aluminum to cover that hole up so we could put the window in. So we actually just ended up cutting out some of the aluminum off the piece that we cut out of the trailer for the window. It was pretty difficult to cut the aluminum off this piece, but Cormac came up with a great idea to just bend it back and forth, and it eventually just broke right off.
Hey.
Woo! Alright. I'll call that good.
Good enough. Yeah, that works.
What we're trying to do here is just sand away some of the old silicone that is still stuck on the trailer so that we have a clean surface to put some new silicone and waterproof it. I was like, what the
What the
heck is going on here?
heck? So we didn't have the camera recording while we were putting this window in, and so we'll just give a brief overview of sort of what we did and the way we put it all together. So we first just, once we had the hole cut, we just set the window in place just to, verify that we cut the hole correctly. And then once we had it in place, we sort of shimmed it around the edge to make sure that everything was centered nicely. And then we marked all of the holes for where we're going to be setting the screws through, and took it off, pre-drilled the holes, and then set these 8/32 stainless steel screws through with a stainless steel washer with a neoprene backing so that it seals it all up, so we don't have to worry about the water getting through. Additionally, we ended up adding in a bead of silicone on the back end of this to seal this in as well. And we open it up this way with some gas struts that end up holding it up. We'll probably end up adjusting this a little bit so that the height is a bit higher for taller people. So as you look in here, we have the screws going straight through the plywood and coming out on the other side with just a washer and a lock nut to hold that in place. So these things just kind of clamp over the bolt.
Once we put the window in, I had to try it out. This was also my chance to test Cormac on how well he knew our product. Hi!
Hey, what can I do for you?
I don't know.
Check out our menu right over here. Take your
Okay.
time, no rush.
Let's see.
We're a bit busy today, so
What's
you might wanna...
Wait a second. I have a question for you. What's in the black bean burger?
Oh, black bean burger. Mo! Mo!
I like it. For me, it's actually not bad. Once you're under it, it's not bad.
Yeah, once you're under it, it's not bad.
It's just like walking up to it, you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
It was quite the process to get the window in, but once it was so exciting to see it in and imagine serving food out of it. Join us next time where we get the electrical for the taillights working and get help from very special guests. Please like and subscribe and eat more plants.